long. I'll wait for a moment for you all to come in. We're not doing the timer this time. But yeah, how are you all? I guess it's a lot later than when we normally do the streams. But for these one-off kind of different ones, we thought, do them on a different day, see how things go, see if it's something that you want to have happen more often. So always good to know your feedback. Huh. Getting internal messages saying that it's not live on YouTube, but hopefully it is, or it will be soon. No, it is. Okay, brilliant. Hopefully people will start commenting. Okay, hello. Hopefully that wasn't some technical issues. But hi, welcome to this stream. It's a little bit later than normal, but hopefully it means we got some different people there. Great to see you all. Hello, Corey. You get this welcome twice. No, it's actually live. So this is a continuation of a stream that we did. Oh God, I think it's about 2 months to the day actually. And it was working on taking a manuscript that I'd already begun to write. Like this is I don't know, the mid tenses, like 2016 or something. I'd written, I'd literally not looked at since. And I was kind of like, well, this is a good representation of what a lot of writers when they first come to Novelcrafter have. They have this draft that they want to finish, but they don't know where to start. And I mean, I think that's, it happens a lot. So I found this manuscript on an external hard drive that I wrote, many years ago. And we started going through it. I included a link to the other doc here, but we went over a few things. So we went on how to format, and there's going to be a video coming out hopefully next week on the full formatting stuff. If you prefer, not to watch an entire live. We looked at importing the book, summarizing scenes, detecting characters, building up basic codex entries, analyzing the story, and we thought about maybe making a plan of action. We didn't get to that last time, so that's what this session is going to cover. We're going to take that kind of analysis that we did and the thoughts that I had begun to have about organizing the story and try and make a plan of action. I want to map the plan against story structures. I want to define the protagonist, because I think my writing tends to have multiple point of views. And I know personally as a writer, that's one of my weaknesses. I don't necessarily define the point of view character well enough. And so, that's something we need to work at. And I think it's a good use case for testing with the AI and chatting to the AI and seeing, getting some ideas. And then brainstorming ways to finish the novel. We also, if we've already got half a manuscript out there, we want, when writing with AI, to have something that kind of matches our style. So we're going to try a few different ways of getting text that kind of sounds a little bit more like us without having to go over having to make a fine tune. So we're trying kind of ways that are simpler, I guess. So yeah, I think we'll just get started. If you have any questions throughout this stream, give me a holler. I'm always happy to answer or go on detours. But yeah, just let me know if you've got any queries. So my main issue kind of since the last session when looking at the story, I've not touched it really, but I don't actually know where I want to go with the story. I think I probably did have an idea when I started, but now I'm kind of there's a lot of cliches. It's kind of I'm not happy with it, and that's totally fine. It's not something I'm actively working on at the moment. But there are aspects I know I want to change, some that I've already taken and put into other stories, and like, yeah, bits I cringe over. What I want to do in this session is just simplify, get a plan of action for how I'd proceed if I was to finish the novel, and just yeah, make that clear character. I'd originally thought that Sushna would be the protagonist because she's probably the most likable. However, then I was kind of like, and she goes through like the biggest change. However, I was like, oh, but on the other hand, I could have the protagonist as like an anti-hero, and Willa is like a really not very nice person, even though she ends up doing what is the right thing. It's not necessarily for the right reasons. And I was like, oh, that would be kind of fun to write. And, she's a scientist, and I was kind of like, oh, maybe see how that is. So I'm gonna do some chat with so I go into Soul Song chat, give it the context of, I'm going to go for the full novel context, but I'm going to use haiku, so it's not quite as spenny, expensive. So this is a 50,000 word draft, so we'll have a think. So what am I going to type in? And does it not? Oh, this is just my keyboard. Please analyze this story. Give me reasons why each of these characters might be the protagonist, and reasons why they might not be. Following this, state who is most likely to be the protagonist and why. So this might take a while to send because it's, again, over 50,000 tokens. Even with haiku, it takes its time. Okay. And also through doing this, the characters' bios are pulled up. So it's kind of giving some context to the characters as well as the story itself. Okay, so analyzing the potential protagonist. Sushna, she's one of the three main, story arc is one of adversity and struggle. Her relationship with Hugh and Sabine positions her as a central figure in the narrative. She exhibits agency and determination to try and help Sabine and escape her captors, making her a proactive character. While we get deep insight into her perspective, the narrative doesn't. Okay, yeah, that's just saying that it's different point of views. She's often reacting rather than driving the story forward. Yeah, that is certainly towards the beginning of the story. She's definitely more like that. So Hugh is about him being a father, about the spirit. Okay, interesting. That and this same argument. So I think that's kind of a point of being like, take what the AI is saying with a pinch of salt. Like, some of these are going to be bland, generic, not going on. We just have to work out which is which. Yeah. Again, Yeah, Willa's actions are so Corey, when we were talking about sympathetic characters earlier on, relating to a difference to Saturday's stream, but Willa's actions are not always sympathetic or heroic, which may make her a less compelling protagonist. Um, yeah, and that's kind of what I'd been thinking anyway through this. No, Doctor Strange isn't. I love Doctor Strange though. Like he's an absolute arsewipe, but on the other hand, great. Sherlock Holmes isn't a very sympathetic main character a lot of the time, and yet he's very compelling. But yeah, Willa has a lot to climb if she's going to become likable. She's very prejudiced at the lightest. What was I doing? Point of view chat. So I'll put that there if you just want to see the things I use. I just used general purpose haiku, full novel text. Okay, so I think that was kind of what I'd already been thinking, but I'm kind of, it's nice to kind of talk it over, get another feedback, and like I think what I would do is the Sushna and Hugh storyline kind of makes a very nice like secondary arc, and it kind of ties in very much with Willa's plot line. However, because those two characters are tied together much more, it kind of makes sense that their plot line kind of, yeah. And then whilst their paths do, it does entwine, like it overlaps multiple times with Willa's plot line. I think I could do a really interesting thing if I, especially if I like stretch out the initial bit of the story of Willa's inciting incident and move it later. Let me have a think. I'm gonna have a think. Okay, so what I decided next was to try and develop an elevator pitch for the rest of the story, see what happens. So I literally just put, please read the attached novel and write 5 different elevator pitches for it. I attached the entire novel. I did this first with haiku, and then I went over to the Claude interface with Opus because I didn't want to find out how much 50,000 tokens plus would cost. But yeah, so I got so I found that haiku gave me bits and pieces, but it wasn't actually this probably would have been the one that I found kind of fit kind of how I thought with Willa being the protagonist. So I could always go in, if I go chat pitches, please give me 5 more pitches with Willa as the protagonist. So it'll hopefully focus on Willa. Let's see what it says. I'll just copy and paste that for you all. Willa, a skilled runist haunted by malicious spirits, forced to work the pressing murky. I mean, I kind of like number 5. That's very dramatic. What do you guys think? I liked bits of that. And then I also did the same with Opus. So you can have a look at them here. I really liked, I believe it was When a Ritual, where was it? This one. When a ritual gone wrong unleashes a malevolent spirit, 4 lives become entwined. The researcher fighting for control of her mind, the single father battling to save his daughter from execution, the assistant condemned as a criminal for an act of kindness, and the young girl whose forbidden magic damns them all. I thought that was I was like, ooh, okay. Yeah, I think that was kind of like a combination of that, and then I guess also I'm going to go chat, general purpose. Yeah, let's try Opus. Here are 2 elevator pitches for my novel. Please help me combine them both into an improved elevator pitch. And then I will number them. I might, in brackets, put the characters just so it has a bit more context. Because I've not... Sabine not? Oh my god, what's her name? Willa. Rona. Okay, let's see how that does. Okay, I mean, that's like literally combine them a bit too much for my tastes. However, it's fine for now. I'm happy enough with it. I want to take this. I'm going to move to Sonnet. I'm going to add the full novel outline. Do I have... I think in... I'm just going through one of my other stories because I don't know if I have it. I thought I had a... That's fine. We'll work it out ourselves. Chat. Sorry. So please take the full outline and the new elevator pitch. Derek, not Dan. I'm not expecting this to do well. I'm literally just wanting this to start kind of giving ideas. Oh, I like how it says where it's come from. Okay, so that's not worked at all. Interesting to know. Okay. Please state the 24 chapter outline and what occurs in each chapter. Please take the chapters where Willa is the point of view character and map them against this outline. If there is no equivalent, please say so. I'm kind of thinking, so if I can get an idea of like which chapters, again, might not work. We're just trying things out, spitballing. Okay, so again, it's done the. It's interesting to see, kind of out saying where there's gaps. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I'm going to copy that and just plop it in for now, as for now. So I have some ideas for where I want to take this. So I know that. If I wish to make in the story, Willa is the protagonist. Please analyze the outline. Yeah, I tend to outline really kind of getting ideas, but I'm trying things out based on this, but it's not all going to work. I kind of, it's trial and error. And I think kind of like seeing that iterative process is often good. So I'm trying to think, like, get it more concise. Okay. So what I think I'm going to do So these two scenes are completely dependent on Willa making the choice there. I want to push that moment back. So I'm going to what am I going to do? Let's play into a new act. I want to add some bits. I'm going to move. Where's the Willa? That I want earlier. Maybe not this bit. I'll just add in the chapter there with. So I won't spend the entire hour just reworking a plot line, but you can kind of see that I kind of using it to get an idea of where I want. So I'm kind of like, okay, well, I know that the beginning that I had, I want to kind of move backwards a little bit. Yeah, Angie's method's really good, where she kind of has the scene list and keeps iterating through. Yeah, no, I always like as spacers. I much prefer when I'm doing this stuff myself as well. So what I would probably do is start doing. I think the moment that Willa decides to try and expel the spirit, rather than having it at the very beginning, I kind of want to build up to it with some more crises and kind of up the pressure before she does it. Yeah, so I would do that, and I kind of change the scene progressions that way. So yeah, when you're planning the book, like using codex entries is good. Okay, so I'm gonna say. I'm gonna give it the context of the outline. Am I? Yeah, why not? In the early chapters of this. The Spirit Mealy. I would like to ramp up the stakes before she undergoes the ritual to force the spirits onto someone else. Please give me 20 scenarios that might help me push this forward. That might help me build well, spirit is spelt weird, but you know, what can you do? Blackout. I do like the idea of having some of it related to Kitty, her daughter, because there is kind of very much in the story a kind of a theme of parents taking, or parents or caretakers kind of taking risks for their children, and kind of in order to defend them, and kind of not necessarily sacrificing themselves, but kind of putting themselves in danger in order to keep their children safe. So it would make sense for that to be a motivation. Like, it's already a motivation for Willa, but for it to be a motivation within this aspect. Okay. So now I'm asking, Willa's weakness is a love for her daughter, Kitty. How can we show this early on in the book to act as foreshadowing for later scenes? Oh, really? You're gonna reject that now? Rude. I'll just get rid of the context. What? Oh, really? Fine, sonnet. I like that. Yeah. Okay. So I've kind of started asking these questions are kind of about aspects that were already going on, just to try and see if we can push things forward and try and get ideas for how I might implement these later. Because this isn't a plotting live stream, I'm going to leave this here so I can continue on with the kind of trying to mimic your voice. But hopefully that's kind of helped you see kind of how, after trying out different ways of kind of communicating with the AI, I've kind of taken more and more of an active role. And through doing that and kind of priming the questions a little better, I've started getting answers that are causing me to think, and that's good, because it kind of means it's still your story then, and you can kind of keep that sense of ownership. So yeah, I'm happy with that. There's a lot of work that would need to be done with the story, and I need to keep reminding myself I've got many other books I need to finish first. So yeah, so the oh my god, so the final bit that I wanted to kind of do was a writing style analysis. So if we're continuing with a novel that's been previously handwritten, it's even more important that we maintain a consistent writing style with the prose that's already been written. So what I'm planning on doing is, first of all, chatting with a scene that I've edited, using that as writing as a context as chat so that I can analyze my writing style. We'll see how well this goes. Again, it's something that AI can be a little bit iffy on. Which is the Willa chapter that I had used. 11.2. Or was it 13.2? Okay. So what I'm going to do is, I've not put anything here. However, I'm just going to use the general purpose prompt, GPT-4o, and ask, can you please give a bullet point list describing the writing style of the author in this chapter. Please give concise answers that will enable a writer to mimic that style. Okay, so I like this as a start. What I'm going to do is take this and we're going to try and put it into a prompt. So we're going to try a few different ways of continuing on with stuff. So if I go prompts, scene beat completion, and what I'm actually going to do before that is please rewrite each bullet into an instruction in present tense. Oh my god. Really? Really? Oh, GPT, man. Hello, Christina. It's nice for you to have you here. Like, yeah, it's I guess for like those on the west coast, California's on the west coast. It's the normal stream time is a little hard to kind of keep up with. the formatting probably doesn't matter, but okay, that's fine. I just wanted to remove any direct mention of names. I will leave the rest of the instructions here from the general purpose prompt. I'm going to change this to you're an expert, gritty fantasy fiction author. I think that's what I called it. Yeah, gritty fantasy. Just reading. Let me, for your reference, I'll provide you the scene that I used and then also the chat. If you want it. So we've now got this prompt that we're going to try out. and see how well it does in kind of keeping to the style. The second way that we're going to try is using text in a snippet for the style. So this is a beat to prose prompt that you can copy and put in. I've included a link for how to transfer the prompt, and it's essentially saying you're a best-selling fantasy, gritty fantasy writer. Take into account these details. Here is the story so far. And I've included this snippets.get sample chapter, which if you go here is here. And this is essentially the same scene that I used for the analysis. And I'm asking to continue the scene based on the idea in the scene beat, but using the same style. So we're trying to get it to just keep going. So this prompt has been developed by Corey, and he has found that this only works for sonnet and opus at the moment. Doesn't really work that great for 4.0. There's some caveats, so I'll just kind of give them out here. This is just from our experimentations that this works best when the point of view character is the same in the scene you're working in and in the reference chapter. If it's different, it'll still get the flavor, but won't do as well. And the ideal reference chapter really is the most recent scene or chapter with the same point of view character. However, make sure you've edited first. Like, don't just give a rough draft. Like, it's better to do a more polished scene than it is to do a very rough scene, because again, it'll copy the style of that scene. So in our prompts, that's this one, where I've got sonnet and it's just temperature 0.7. This is literally it. We will see how things go. And then, so what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to write a beat, and then I'm going to try with just the system prompt, with the style guide from analysis, which I will. And then also this snippet of a previous chapter. And I thought we could compare what the three sets of prose are like and see if we have any like preferences, see what's going on, and see if we can, how we can best get the style. So let's set the point of view as Willa. I'm going to duplicate this 3 times, one for each of the prompts. And then I'm also going to exclude from the AI context so that it doesn't read up and see any of this. How does it? To keep the parasite. Have I got a codex entry for Kitty? No. She is. Sees her daughter Kitty. Willa lies. Okay, let's see how this works. So Willa returns home, weary, the voice of Miele plaguing in the back of her mind. The use of runes proves fruitless to keep the parasite at bay, and each step feels like agony. Entering the small entering the small kitchen, Willa sees her daughter Kitty lying on the floor drawing. The sight is a balm to her. Kitty is excited to see her mother again, asking questions rapidly about her day. Willa lies, keeping a smile on and pretending that work in the bakery has gone well. She doesn't work in a bakery, but she doesn't want Kitty to know her real job. Beat. /enter. So then the first one is going to be the general purpose prompt with sonnet. I'm going to use for them all, just as is. We'll see how it does. The entity wanted her to turn back, to flee into the night and continue her dark work, but the thought of her daughter was a beacon pulling Willa forward. She rounded the corner into the tiny kitchen to find Kitty lying on the floor, crayons and paper strewn about her. The little girl looked up with a beaming smile that instantly melted away Willa's weariness. "Mummy!" Kitty scrambled to her feet and rushed over, tiny arms wrapping around Willa's legs. "You're home!" Did I really use... Was that really just the general purpose? Huh. I mean, I guess I had the chapter before that it's read as well, but pleasantly surprised. Like, that kind of kept really... Okay, I'm surprised, guys. Style mimic. Wait, this is the same. Okay, what I'm going to do is, so that it doesn't pull from that, I'm going to move that above. Okay, it's definitely gone like more dramatic. Okay, so Claude has been constantly writing sentences with a comma followed by a dependent clause for me. Yeah, that probably. Yeah, I think they have that does happen a lot. Um, they pick up bad habits and then keep them, and kind of things like that are what fine tunes would be good for. If you gave it examples of like 100 sentences like that, and then replace them, that would be ideal. Um, okay, so there is certainly with this prompt, it seems to have tried to conclude a little more, but it has given more evocative descriptions, which I like. Um, which kind of I think has worked. I like the use of colloquial language. Mama, I prefer to mummy, my little sparrow. I think that's kind of like a nice. It feels a little more warm and kind of um, in character. So okay, that's interesting. Let me actions. But yeah, I mean, I've not used actually the general purpose prompt in so long, and I forgot how good it was. Despite the simplicity, I've been using the deep introspective one, and maybe I've just been cluttering it up a bit. Something to worth thinking about for future Kate. And then I finally want to try to the top, and I'm going to use the Kate's voice from Corey. Interesting. I do think this has a bit more of me. It's hard to know, really. I think I'm going to copy the scene prose. I'm going to put all of these here for you to read through and see kind of what you think of it. Because I think a lot of the times it's very subjective as to what you want. Like this first one is, I think the first two used a lot more kind of like speech. It didn't introduce as much. But on the other hand, I really liked some of the descriptions in this. And I think it did kind of reflect more because in the sample chapter, there is a lot more kind of description. And whilst it's like a very different kind of description, it does reflect kind of there's more the style I was writing then, there's more like blocks of text in between the speeches and then it quickens the pace. So I think it's kind of followed the pace of that very well. Although I'm very intrigued that the general purpose finished in media res when it doesn't have any instructions to. I mean, to be fair, I don't know if to be fair, the style mimic doesn't either. Okay, so it has that, but okay, no, it's again, I'm always fascinated. To be fair, this doesn't say about not concluding early and stuff, so not mad. And it did write more because it was asked to write more. So it wrote a couple of hundred words more. But yeah, I think that's a very interesting experiment. Like this session has been a lot of kind of taking the bare bones of what we had and adapting it and just kind of seeing what works and what doesn't. And a lot of this stuff didn't work as well as I'd hoped it would. But I'm not mad at that. I think kind of it's worthwhile kind of noting that there is still a lot of human input that's needed when working with AI if you want the vision to be what you inputted. And I think that's a really good moral. But yeah, do any of you have any questions? There's a couple of minutes left in this session. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. And then if you don't, then I'll see you on Saturday where we're we're continuing the editing portion of the sci-fi novel that we're working on. And I'm going to kind of show you some tricks within Novelcrafter for editing. Blink of an eye suggests perhaps you can give it 5 right or wrong examples to help it understand what you're looking for. Yeah, that certainly would be a good way of doing things if you wanted to write in certain sentence structures. You could try and ask it to do X% of this, Y% of that. Doesn't always work, but it's worth a shot. And yeah, if it keeps doing it, you can always clear that up in post edit or do that in with the text replacement prompts. You could select your text and just ask it to rewrite it in simple sentences or something. So yeah. Oh, you're very welcome, Danny. And Corey, yeah, glad you all found that useful. Yeah, it was. Yeah, hope it went well. But yes, I will see you all on Saturday. And keep an eye out for the next update that is coming in a little bit. Bye, everyone.